That's just sports, baby.
Crowd goes wild, strawberry ice bringing fire and style. Reds, Bengals, Bearcats, all in my zone. This is my stage, my mic, my throne. Boom, like a hammer, I'm breaking the game. Strawberry ice, you're gonna know my name. Sports Talk Thunder, hear the podcast roar. Cincy's line is kicking down the door. Step into the ring where the passion ignites. Talking sports all day and all night. From the field to the court to the rowing stands. Strawberry ice with the world in my hands. Boom, like a hammer, I'm breaking the game. Strawberry ice, you're gonna know my name. Sports Talk Thunder, hear the podcast roar. Cincy's line is kicking down the door.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, the Iceman, Jeff Trunapole. And as always, I'm your sports from West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio. And you know it, come to you live from that ice cave.
All right, shout out to my sponsors. They are Party Lawn and Landscaping for all your lawn and landscaping needs. You need your grass cut, you need shrubbery trimmed, I don't know, you need a paper patio, you need anything. I mean anything. Landscaping required. Think Party Lawn and Landscaping. Also, shout out to T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out the website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And of course, Meyer Window, Door, and more. I got them in my house. I highly recommend you get them in yours. They're energy efficient, great looking windows, easy to clean. Meyer Window, Door, and more. The website is MeyerCincinnati.com. And also, shout out to my favorite brewery, Moorline Lager House. Get on down there, get you some delicious Moorline beer, some delicious Moorline food. And tell them I sent you. Moorline Lager House.
That's right, guys. Welcome to a Who Dey Fun Football Friday show from snowy, I know I say this every day this week, but from snowy, frigid, cold Cincinnati, Ohio. Hope you guys are staying warm. It's by the end of next week, we're going to hit the 30s. People will be walking around wearing shorts. I actually saw a guy walking to the gas station again today wearing shorts. And I had to say something this time. I called him out. I was like, dude, you wearing shorts? And I'm kind of loud. I didn't realize I actually said it that loud. And he turned to look at the He goes, yeah. He goes, I'm just going out in and out, dude. I'm not staying out there very long. I said, I hope not, because you're gonna, get some, freezer burn or frost or whatever you would call it on your legs there. So I would not recommend wearing shorts if I were you guys. What is up to everybody in the chat? We got Stranger in there. We got Crypt Keeper. They got Ronnie. Ronnie, what's up? Ronnie says it's 80 out there. Thanks, Ronnie. Appreciate it. We got Tony Blazin. What is going on, everybody? All right. So Dale will not be joining us today because it's so daggone cold, and his studio is his garage, and he's only got a little heater, and it's too cold for him to be out there. So I don't even know. I don't think he's even done his show this week. I think it's been too cold for him to even do his own show today, so he's not coming on today. I know AC is going to join us. He is finishing up his show right now with John DeBrain Sheeran, so hopefully you guys finished watching that and jumped on over here. All right, so today's topic. Of course, we're going to have fun stuff to talk about here, but this is one thing I've been contemplating. I've been thinking, all right, because people always ask me this because I admit it. I'm a Bengals homer. I am. I believe with all my heart that they're going to fix this thing. But I really started to think about it. Okay, put the orange-colored sunglasses down. What really makes you believe that they will do this? And I got to thinking, and then all of a sudden it popped up that Joe Flacco made the Pro Bowl. And I'm going, yeah, nobody wants to go to the Pro Bowl. I'm glad Joe Flacco's there. We got 3 Bengals in the Pro Bowl now, so that's cool. But then I got to thinking, it brought me back to the Bengals trading for Joe Flacco. And it was during the season, and they gave up a draft pick to do it. That is something the Bengals do not do. One, they don't give up draft picks. Two, they don't make trades during the season. They did that because they believed, one, Joe Burrow was coming back, which they're right, he did. And they also believed that this roster was good enough to win these games, good enough to keep it afloat till Joe gets back, Joe Burrow, that is, to make, hopefully to be in the playoff run and to win playoff games and contend for a Super Bowl. They believed that. They would have made that trade if they didn't believe that. It didn't work because of the stuff they did not do this past offseason, where I've said this and said this and said this. They put all their eggs in Al Golden basket and expected him to make magic. Al Golden did exactly what he was brought here to do. He did exactly what he brought here to do. He got the defense better. He got a lot of stuff out of Miles Murphy, out of Joshua Osai, out of DJ Turner, out of Dax Hill. We didn't get anything out of Shamar Stewart. We'll get that next year. But that's what he was here. He was to develop these guys. Okay. So why do I believe that they will do something? Because they believed it last year, and it's smacking them dead in the face that what they did last year wasn't good enough. They thought it was. They were all in to go get Joe Flacco. So to me, and you can call this orange-colored sunglasses, Homer, whatever, they still believe that they are a Super Bowl caliber roster to a certain degree. Because Duke said it in his press conference. He also said that they want to add to this team and make this team better. And nobody wants to win more than they do. So if the Bengals are willing to do something that they never do during the season, is trade for Joe Flacco, then why wouldn't they be willing to add to this team defensively? Hopefully draft better. I can't change how they draft. They still might draft messed up. I hope not, but we'll see. But I do think that there's a chance that they will go heavy enough into this offseason, adding to the defensive line, adding to the safety room. Because to me, I don't really think they're going to add to the linebacker room. I really do think they like it. And I will go back to this. Now, when Logan Wilson was a rookie and Pratt was second or third year player and they were our starting linebackers, they had Baines, not Baines. I had his name in my head. I can't remember now. He was a linebacker, veteran linebacker here the year before. I think it was Josh Baines. No, Josh Bynes. I think it was Josh Bynes. I know somebody in the chat will tell me. But they had him there that rookie, or for Logan Wilson's rookie year and Pratt's second or third year or whatever. They did. I wanted them to bring him back. They didn't. And Logan Wilson and Pratt were pretty good. So that's where I want them to add a veteran linebacker to this. I don't think they're going to, because they think, and they could be right, I don't know, and it depends on what Al Golden does too, that they took all the hits with the two rookie linebackers this year, that they're going to make a jump. I am not willing to bank on that. I want them to add to the linebacker room. Duke Tobin said, I don't know how many times in the press conference, and I'm taking a lot of stuff out from what he said. You just got to remember what he said. And if you want to, you can go back, and any number of guys have it on there. You can find it on the channel. James on it has got it on there. Trags has got it on there. You can go back and watch it again. Nobody, and this statement I'm going to stick to with what he said. Nobody wants to win more than him, Zach, Mike, Katie, Elizabeth, Caroline, Paul Jr. Nobody wants to win more than them. Now, I know he said, I'm not going to pay for the same team I had last year, which, well, he didn't pay for a worse team. I don't know if defense is worse. It wasn't any better. I'll put it that way. We did find out about the young guys and stuff, so we did find stuff out there. My whole point to this is they thought they had it. They blatantly could see that they didn't. They've talked about adding to this room, adding to the defense, adding through free agency. That's why I believe they're going to. And the other thing is, They almost have to. They have backed themselves into a corner. I mean, now I hear the national media guys going, well, they listened to Joe Burrow and well, they shouldn't have. I still disagree with that. They listened to Joe Burrow. But I don't think they totally listened to Joe Burrow because he wanted those guys. I think he already assumed, which is a bad thing, that they were going to add to the defense because you knew that part needed to be fixed. And Joe's like, they're probably going to take care of that. Or at least they told him they would. So that's where he's like, and they wasn't sure that they were going to get Jamar done, T done, Mike G done. He did say Trey. He said at least once. And they sort of got Trey done. So they did the part that everybody's talking about, that Joe wanted all this offense and he didn't care about defense. I don't think that's what Joe was saying. And he said it, and that's many words during one of his last press conference that, this isn't good enough. We got to do better. And Joe is going to be on Radio Row next week, and everybody's going to ask him, what do you think they should do? What do you want them to do? Blah, blah, blah. Were you wrong in demanding that they signed T. Higgins and they signed Jamar Chase and they did this? He's just saying no. The other thing the Bengals need to do, which would be great, is restructure Joe and Jamar and T's contract, at least Joe and Jamar. And Joe said multiple times he's willing to do it. Joe might have to go, look, restructure my contract so you guys can have more money to go get this defense fixed for me. But even if they don't, they still got a lot of money. They're still 8th in salary cap space. So, long-winded answer. I do think they're going to, and that's why, because they did do something that they don't do. I mean, I don't remember the last time they made an in-season trade, especially for a guy that they needed immediately. Plug and play. He had to play. I can't remember the Bengals ever doing that. All right, let me get to this $4.99 super chat here from KP from KC. When they didn't pay Bates, they had no excuse not to pay T. They put themselves in this corner. They got to put up or shut up, move the money. I can't disagree with that at all. I things, even if they don't move money around, they still have money to play with. Hopefully they'll move some money around with Joe, Jamar, and T. Now, this guy right here, here's a guy who's in the waiting room, just sitting there. He's got the sun in the back. He's got the tank top on. He's got the sun. His sun's out, guns out. We're down here freezing our asses off in Cincinnati. But he is the one, the only. He is the Godfather Anthony Cosenza. Yes, I'm a little jealous. I'm a little jealous.
I'm sorry.
Jeez.
I apologize for being late. I ended my show a little late, and that was because there was some construction traffic going on that held me up. I gotta squeeze out like every minute of my day, buddy. I know.
I'm just
so I apologize for being late.
No, you're good. I'm glad you carved some time out for me. I mean, like I said, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do this every Friday. I appreciate you doing it now.
Hey, it's an honor and a privilege, my friend.
Hey, like I said, I told you, I was like, if you can't come on, that's fine. I got to find some other.
No, I'm good. And now I got kid pickup handled, so now I can cruise. Right. I can hit cruise control. Yeah, so I'm good.
Go.
I'm good.
All right, so I'll kind of what I was talking about is why, like, people always ask me this all the time. Why do I believe the Bengals are going to do enough this offseason? And I've been accused of being a homer. I am a homer. I totally believe the Bengals are going to try and do something all the time, but I really do believe that this year. I was thinking about it, like, why do I believe that? Because they did one thing in this offseason, or actually not during the regular season, that they never do, because they thought they had a championship caliber team. They traded for Joe Flacco when they gave up a draft pick during the season. They don't do that because they thought they had a championship franchise or championship roster. It smacked them in the face that they didn't. Duke Tobin came out and said, it wasn't good enough. We got to get better. to me, it's like they feel that they do have a championship roster, but not. I don't think it's good. They know it's not good enough. So making that move gives me hope, makes me believe that they're going to do something this offseason as far as bringing in free agents. Well, I mean, does that make sense?
Well, what is? I'll kind of throw it back to you. What is your definition of do something? Like, what is that? What does that mean?
At least I'm saying, well, you got to get at least one. If you're letting Trey Henderson go, you got to get at least two edge guys. I don't know if they can do anything about the interior defensive line unless they draft Peter Woods, because the interior defense line, there's not a lot of guys in free agency really worth going after, and it's kind of a weak draft. So that one I don't know if they can. Safety, they definitely can. They could go draft Caleb Downs. They can add some more, two more safety, one more safety in there as well. If you do that, and I want them to add a linebacker. I'm not so sure they're going to do that. That can potentially could start, but the veteran guy that could start, but they don't necessarily have to. If they do all of that and get the draft pick right, then yeah, I think they will. The other crazy one, I'll get the other crazy thing I got here in a minute. That's what I think they can do or should do.
Yeah. I do think, those pre-free agency cuts from other teams and, June 1 cuts and that sort of thing, that might be where they scour some names that you may not think are going to be or are not set to be available right now. Some teams do that. And then the Bengals kind of, I don't want to say pick up the scraps, but there are some talented players that you can get there. Yeah, I mean they need to do that. Obviously, salary cap number, at least projection, over 300 million now is projected to be this year. So the Bengals, they were going into this year projected around 58 million, I think, right around just under 60 million.
Yeah, they're the top 10 as far as
that may fluctuate, but they kind of do their pencil magic, and that number starts to dwindle a little bit quicker than you think. But yeah, I mean, it's not just active for the sake of being active. It's you got to get guys that are remedying the issues, and even if they're not truly household names, you got to get guys who can tackle. You got to get guys who can provide pass rush. You got to get guys who can just play sound football, and they need to figure that out. I'm curious also to know what they're going to do with the running back spot. Are they going to try and keep Samaje Perine again? I know Chase Brown had an excellent year, but are they going to try and keep Perine in there? Is Taj Brooks going to get kind of some more looks? What are they going to do there? Are they going to add a guy in the draft potentially? I don't know. So, I mean, there are still some offensive questions. We've talked about the slot receiver. They need a true Tyler Boyd-ish type option there. So, I mean,
tight end might be one too. Tight end might be one you might want to do that too.
Yeah. I mean, they've got Gesicki and they've got they just re-signed Tanner Hudson again. I mean, they've got some guys in the fold, but they, what's happening with Eric All, right? What some of those, what is it? The 12 personnel type guys that can come when Eric All was in there, as a rookie, he was making some plays and, just a guy that was just a nice all around tight end. And so is he going to be the same guy after a couple of injuries? Are you going to look for kind of a little bit more of that traditional tight end in the draft? I don't know, but yeah, tight end should be addressed. I think people, and rightfully so, are so hyper focused on the team fixing the defense and going hard at that in free agency and the draft. The offense is very good, but it's not a perfect unit. So there are still some things that there's right now a roster hole at guard with Dalton Risner not being signed. So
why isn't that done yet? That's what I want to know. Why? And I've heard Jake Lisco, I think it was Jake on Locked On Bengals, thinks that the Bengals don't do that until the combine or right around the combine, before or after. I'm like, why? Like, just go sign him now. I mean, he wants to be here, and this whole thing, I don't know. Which I did find out some information about this because somebody was asking me, I don't know, Twitter or Facebook. Apparently, Dalton Risner and his wife built their dream house in Kansas City. Like, oh my goodness, does that mean he wants to go to Kansas City? Like, no, that's like their forever home. That's when he's done. They're going to move there. So from what
and
I
they're from
found
there.
out.
He went to Kansas State.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where they're from. So
but
but
there's also a caption in there that says we don't know where we're going to be next year.
Right.
I think that's what his wife put on there.
Why the Bengals should sign him now?
Part of the deal that happens, a lot of teams just kind of go into cruise control mode that aren't in the playoffs, aren't in the Super Bowl this time of year until the owners meetings, combine, free agency. Then guys get together face to face and they talk and they do all those things. And there's why isn't there more free agency activity? And then there's a flurry in the legal teams just boom, and then why aren't there trades or why aren't there moves? And then draft comes around. Just teams kind of go in these mini hibernation modes a little bit.
Right.
So I don't want to just put the Bengals into that, but yeah, I mean, you'd like to see that sooner rather than later. Talked a little bit about it on our show just recently. Offensive line is such a thing built on, continuity and communication and that sort of thing. And you had your best line performance in the Joe Burrow era. Dalton Reisner was a big part of that this last year. Why would you not just say, hey, let's make this work?
That's right.
Dalton Reisner, though, also has been a guy that, I keep calling him the mercenary in terms of free agency. He kind of just signs late and he does a 1-year deal, a 2-year deal. He doesn't, he kind of hops around a little bit. So, you got to watch that too. But
he had his best year in a while. And I think that's that the offensive line coach, which his name's slips my mind right now, for the Bengals. Peters, yes. I think he really, whatever he was teaching, however he's teaching Dalton Reisner, worked, because Dalton Reisner run blocking was the best I think he's ever had, because he was not a run blocker. He was a pass blocker, which he still did good at that. The run blocking was even better. So that's another thing where I think Dalton is more wanting to be here because he gets it. He understands, what is asked of him. Now, when he started at was he left guard beginning of the year when Burrow got hurt, I think that hurt him because I think he took that on himself, like that was his fault, and then he got benched. So yeah, that's the thing you got to remember too. Is don't right, yeah, he ended really well. He didn't start off too good, but he also came in late in the camp, and that's where he said he even said in his exit interview, he goes, "I'd love to sign, before the season starts. I want to sign like now." So that's where it's like,
yeah, and you had guys lobbying for him too. I think it was OBJ saying, this is a guy that played really well. I think he communicated well, being a veteran next to Karras. I think that just worked well, and he's just a solid. He's not all pro level. He's not Pro Bowl level per se, but he's just been a solid offensive lineman his entire career. You know what you're going to get from him for the most part, and it makes sense. Like kind of what you were just talking about, doing something in free agency. It's one of those things that you don't need to go scrambling in the draft for at this point. You also have Rivers. You got Cody Ford under contract, whatever you think about him. So if you get Reisner, you're just like, hey, we're set here, right? We don't need to go scrambling for another guard and take another, potential need or a best player available off the board because we just have to get an interior offensive lineman. So
it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, it
right.
Shout out to KP from KC for the $1.99 super chat. Tanner Hudson could have waited, signed Reisner now. That was kind of, so that's the thing when Jake Lisco said that they usually wait till then. Why they signed Tanner Hudson now? Like that's when it's like, all right, yeah, I get you, but they signed T. Huddy, so which is good. I'm glad they signed him. Signed Dalton Reisner. I don't understand what they're waiting on. So
I'm trying to look if Hudson. Was he an unrestricted or did he have some sort of restricted? I'm trying to look here.
I do not know that off the top.
Yeah, I'll have to kind of look at that. But yeah, he was extended. So, and he, despite a couple of big fumbles that he's had in his career, I mean, Hudson's been a guy that Burrow seems to like and trust for, some of these short yardage stuff. So I'm fine with that. But yeah, I mean, again, it's proactive versus reactive on some of these guys. We've talked about that a bunch.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I want them to be proactive this year.
Go back
to what they did in 21 and 22. Go be proactive. Now, this comes to my crazy trade here, and I got to think about this when I had Zim Who Dey on earlier this week, and we were talking about Trey Hendrickson, and he made a good point. or if you're not going to sign Trey, which I don't think they're going to, I'd take him back. I mean, but I think that bridge is burned. Is to tag and trade him so you can control where he goes. So he's not signing with the Ravens. He's not signing with the Steelers or the Browns or any of that stuff. And hopefully he's not signing with any team in the
Oh God, can you imagine if it was Garrett and Hendrickson on the Browns? Holy crap.
That would be that would be horrendous. I would hate that. So this is my crazy trade. I would love to get Max Crosby. I'll just put it out there. I don't think it's gonna happen. But it's my crazy trade scenario. I will put this out there. I'm usually not this guy, but I had too much time on my hands today, so I was thinking. So this is my trade scenario. You trade Trey Hendrickson. It'll be a 3-team trade. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers get Trey Hendrickson. The Cincinnati Bengals get Max Crosby, and the Raiders get the Buccaneers first-round pick this year and the Bengals second-round pick this year in that 3-team trade. I don't know if the Buccaneers would, if they're going for a defensive guy or not, but I'm sure getting Trey Hendrickson wouldn't be a bad thing for them. And the Vegas Raiders would get a first-round and a second-round pick for this year. And that way we wouldn't lose our first-round pick. We try to get Caleb Downs. And just the crazy fact, if the Bengals were to be able to get Max Crosby and Caleb Downs, that would be a home run right there with the offseason. I mean, I'm not saying I have not heard this anywhere. This is me talking about it, but does that like a crazy?
So essentially, I'm just trying to. I'm. It's Friday, so I'm.
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
I'm trying to. So essentially, what is being done is Trey with what you're proposing. Trey Hendrickson is dealt to the Buccaneers, and they give up a first-round pick for him.
Vegas, yes. And that goes to the
Vegas
Raiders.
Give up a second-round pick to the Raiders and get Max Crosby.
Yeah,
that's how that. Okay,
and then, so they would end up with.
I like all that, and obviously that's it's a very creative solution to the issue. I don't know that Trey Hendrickson's going to net a first-round pick at this point.
Even though he's the number one free. This is what Zim kept saying, and I'm like, he hammered us home. I'm like, you're right. He's the number one free agent in all of football. That's the thing. It's like us Bengals fans, like, I don't think he's going to get that much. But if you look at Spoke Track and all these other ones, the number one free agent is Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I think someone's gonna, throw the bag at him if he's not tagged and traded and that sort of thing. I do think the tag and trade is something that the Bengals should think about doing, even though it's just further burning a bridge that is. But you get to protect yourself on that, and you get
that's the whole point to
that. But there were talks, before the trade deadline, especially when he was hurt last year. Is it a second-round pick? Is it a third-round pick? What could he be dealt for? So I don't know. And let me see real quick. Where do the Buccaneers pick? That's another element to this.
I think they picked before us. Because they have a. Did they have a worse? No, I think we're ahead of them. I'm doing
let me see. Just looking that up. But yeah, I don't know. They have the 15th overall. I think. Okay, so they're 15th overall. So, that it's not like a borderline second round pick type of thing. So that's where I kind of say, okay, maybe that's a second round pick. And then the Bengals have two, early/middle second round picks there. Obviously, I think being the free agency frenzy and him not being currently injured, hopefully, that would, if there was a third round type of price tag for him going into the trade deadline when he was hurt, maybe that lifts to a mid-second round pick. That's where I just think it's maybe a little bit more realistic, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if the Buccaneers would go for that or another team. But like you said,
I don't pick the Buccaneers. So I mean, it could be. I just want to go in the NFC. Just get it out.
And too that the Bengals don't want to feel like they lose in something like that. And so,
they can come back with Max Crosby, and you gave up a second round pick, you wouldn't lose,
right?
Or you gave up a third round pick, and you got Max Crosby. Now the other thing people have told me is, well, they can't afford him, which I think they can. And the thing is, like, if they would just restructure, Joe and Jamar, they could get a lot more money. They would.
Also what I think, a lot of people are, and probably a lot of people know this, but Max Crosby was pretty pissed off at the Raiders at the end of last year.
Yes, he was.
So I don't, regardless of if the Bengals go for him or whomever, I think he may see a different team this next year. And with the Raiders holding the number 1 pick and probably in a rebuild mode again for the next couple of years, he probably won't be down for that. So,
that's why he might get traded, because he got pissed off too. And it's kind of like, they didn't want, it was almost like a move to keep him from, last 2 games of hurting himself. So they still have that asset, so they could trade him, is what that move seemed to me when they sat him down. Because you saw the video of him in his home basketball gym playing hoops, and he was fine.
Yeah. He was, I think, playing with his kid. And, at that point too, like you said, they kind of shut him down, and he was not happy about that. So, I mean, it's, they would, that what you're proposing though, I like that whole, let's include other teams and all of that, but this is a bit of uncharted waters for the Bengals.
Right. I mean,
this would be something that they really haven't done much of in their history. So
no, they haven't done much of it. Yeah. A pork chop here. He said we traded with the Bucks yesterday on Brewers and got a haul. Looked bad at first, but we got a great player. Got great players to help the season. Well, there you go.
So I want to. Can I ask you about this, because this was I hate to use the word propaganda, but on Bengals.com within the last week or so, they had an article that talked about newish scouts to the group and all that sort of thing. Last year they hired, I think, 3 new scouts, and it was in June, I believe. So those guys were not part of the draft and free agency process, that sort of thing. So. When you say do something or, strike gold in the draft, I'm really curious to see what impact, if any, those additions now truly in their first offseason with the team, what that'll do. Because a lot of people are saying expand the scouting staff. And quite honestly, with the season and all kinds of different things we cover, you kind of forget what happened, 8 months ago, 7 months ago, whatever it is. And the Bengals did hire some scouts. So I'm just curious if you think that what impact, if at all, that'll have.
Well, it should have some impact. It depends on what do they have in them scout? Are they actually going to go out and get boots on the ground to some of these guys? That's the thing that I felt that they don't do. And I said this during the season. Why in the hell they never went to UC, which, it's right here in the city, and go watch some other, which they might have, but I know there was a game. I think it was Iowa State or somebody like that in Big 12. I can't remember who it was. And there was a whole bunch of NFL scouts there, and there was no representative from the Bengals. And as far as I know, there wasn't. And that kind of irritated me. I'm like, why not? So that's the thing for me, is like, you can scout, but you can do the stuff on a computer and all this stuff. We got AI and everything, but it's not like talking to the player, talking to the coach, talking to his position coach, talking to some of the other players about him. You actually get to find out more stuff about him than just what's on the computer. So that's the biggest thing I would like to see them do, is actually get boots on the ground. I know they're down. I think they're down Senior Bowl. I'm pretty sure they are. I doubt they went to the Shriners Bowl. They probably don't have enough scouts for that.
Jeff, you I think are in a pretty high position in a company, correct? Like you at your T Properties company.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
And have you been involved in hiring processes or hiring employees, interviewing in that capacity?
No, we just deal with contractors. But I've had to. So yes, I've had to interview contractors to work for us, not actually be employed by us, but work for us. So yes, as far as that goes, yeah.
I guess sometimes I try and look at things from a business perspective, and when you talk about this face-to-face time, that's invaluable. How you get a read on somebody, and exactly. If you're in a business, I know a lot of people have started there, or an organization, doesn't necessarily have to be a business, but a lot of people start their interviews with Zoom because of convenience and just a little get to know you, but it almost always inevitably leads to an in-person, even if it's like cross states or cross country. It's like get here in person and interview.
There's I mean, you and me do this all the time, but when we saw each other for the first time in real life, it was like, hey, what's up? Dabbed it up. And it's totally different than looking at a camera or looking at the computer screen and talking to you. Like you get a vibe with people. You get, you can see how they are, different scenarios and things. Like a Zoom call is a Zoom call. You're sitting in front of a camera talking. If you're out and about doing different things, you get a vibe about people, and it's totally different. I totally believe you should not stop doing that, because that you end up with drafting Jermaine Burton. Well, you don't need to.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of my point. Like, just the more FaceTime you can have with these guys, because then you get a read on their maturity. I mean, granted, they're trying to put forth a professional vibe, and you understand that, but you just get a better read on guys in person.
All right, so I'll ask you kind of the same question. For you, what I don't want to say going all in, because I don't know if the Bengals will ever go all in, but what is fixing this to you? What do you think they have to do to fix just this team in general, not just the defense, all of it, to get this team back to the AFC championship game, contending for a Super Bowl? What do you think they need to do this offseason?
Well, they need to. I think defensive line is going to be key. I think they need to be. We talked about Trey Hendrickson potentially not being here. They need to figure out, is Shamar Stewart the guy? Is Miles Murphy a guy that you can count on long term and in an increased role? And how are we generating pressure, not just from one spot or the edges or that sort? You got to get pressure everywhere.
Yes.
So that to me is, you can have your Joe Burrows and Jamar Chases and all of that, and they're fantastic. They're great, but we've seen even when they are playing at their highest level, it's a 9-win team that barely misses the playoffs. It would be when the defense isn't pulling its weight. Right. So to me, I think just that defensive line, shoring that up, and also because the Bengals do lean heavily in the draft, you can't have project guys. You have to have, particularly in the first 3 rounds, you have to have immediate impact guys who are seeing the field. Guys, it doesn't have to be, an every down starter necessarily. And I think those two correlate, because the Bengals may go defensive line maybe multiple times in those rounds in the draft. Who knows? But you have to be able to get guys that are capable, that are healthy, and you're not overreaching for guys, because if you are holding, 2 picks within the first 45, those are primo picks. Those are picks that you just can't whiff on, and you can't say, well, they don't practice the right way, or if they're talented,
so high, who cares? What do they do now?
It's you cannot squander those, and the Bengals, granted, for the most part, when they've had high picks of late, they've done well. Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, when they have those primo picks, they've done well. And at number 10 overall, you can't crap the bed, and you can't. You got to have someone. Again, doesn't need to be an every down starter, but it has to be a hit, and it has to be hit soon, not a holdout, not anything like that. It needs to be a hit soon. And I think the second round pick also has to be someone that is a contributor. Again, it doesn't have to be an every down starter. You just have to maximize the value of those picks. You have to maximize the values.
We've said this a million times. Don't ever think it. Take the layups. Take the layups.
Yeah.
If they're there, draft the best player available. And what helps you doing that is take it to people, in free agency. Also, when I say take the layups, that would start with re-signing Dalton Risner. I'm going to keep saying it, but to me, it's a layup. He wants to be. I'm getting irritated that they haven't done it.
You're right.
It's stupid that they haven't done it. Another thing that I think they should consider doing, and this is not a Bengal thing, we got 2 pretty good corners, I think, and they're both going to be up. Their contracts are both up, I think, next year. Why not try to sign one or both of them, this year? Because you got. And I know they're going to be like, well, you know, they really like Dax Hill. I do think they really like Dax Hill. But DJ, like, well, he only had 1 year. Like, I don't care. If he does what he did last year again next year, all it's going to do is kick the price up even more. That's all it's going to do. And I don't understand why the Bengals are so scared to do that, because they don't guarantee money. So if he doesn't work out, you can just cut him. You know, I mean, it might be a hit.
I would not be surprised if corner is a pretty high pick this year.
Well, I think it has to be. They got to get a slot. I mean, they do, or to replace one of these guys if they leave. So yes, I don't.
Yeah, and Dax could do more slot if they get more of a boundary guy. You know, we've talked a little bit about Kamari Ramsey, the safety of USC, a guy who can play, you know, a little bit of boundary, but could be that Mike Hilton-ish type of player, a slot guy. So, you know, somebody, I would not be surprised if defensive back, and the Bengals like high picks at corner. They do that pretty often. So I would not be surprised if, you know, we're talking defensive line, we're talking linebackers, all that kind of stuff, and somehow a corner slips in there. But I going back to the defensive line, the other thing that, you know, when I said not project players, the other thing the Bengals cannot afford to do, especially if it's a third or fourth round guy that they invest in the defensive line, it can't be one of these Zachary Carters, who is he, who isn't he? It can't be one of these Marcus Hardisons, you know, oh, he's big enough to play defensive tackle. We'll try him on the edge. You got to find the guys who fit. You got to find the guys who fit. And you can't, you know, we had a question on our show, you know, should Shamar Stewart bulk up and be more of a Larry O guy? To me, no, not right now. You can mix in some snaps where he kicks in the middle and tries to disrupt from the middle when you have Murphy and others on the outside. But to me, he's already working on a year where he didn't have an offseason, basically. Right. And now you're trying, you know, you would talk about putting him in a new position and trying to teach him the nuances full time of a new position. Just let him be an edge. And if that doesn't work out, then you go back to the drawing board. But to me, again, you just can't do the third or fourth round picks that are, you know, these, is he, isn't he, is it a tweener? Is it, you know, get a guy that works for you immediately.
Yeah. And the thing is, you can kick him in sometimes. I would not. I mean, I thought about that too, and I'm like, let's just find out what he's got first before we tell him. I mean, it's something that, I mean, if he does good, then, you know, you could throw him in there more. It's not something that I would sit there and definitely say, you know, bulk up, put their 10 pounds on or 5 pounds on or whatever, and we're gonna, you know, kick you inside like every play. But it's something that I think they are gonna play him inside more, because I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna have to be honest.
What were some of his biggest assets coming out of college? It's the speed and explosion off the edge, right? So if you bulk up, you may lose some of that.
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm afraid of. That's exactly what I'm afraid of. So that's why I'm like, just work on coming in here and being an impact player next year. That's the biggest thing I think Shamar should do. Just work on being an impact player and making plays, because most likely they're not going to re-sign Joshua Osai. And it has nothing to do with Joshua Osai. I think it has everything to do with David Mulligana. I think when they signed the 1-year contract with Joseph last year, I think the first contract they ever signed with a David Mulligana player. So Shamar Stewart and Miles Murphy right now are probably your starting edges going into the season. If it started tomorrow, those are your starting edges. I know Trey's still on here, but I mean, I don't think he's going to play for the Bengals.
Yeah. And that goes back also, you said, what are a couple of keys to the Bengals, you know, going back to the AFC Championship? I mean, this year's class, of course, fortifying the defensive line, but some of that also comes from, okay, can some of the guys you invested in recent years become hits if they haven't been hits yet? So, you know, fortifying the defensive line, if Miles Murphy ends up becoming a really, you know, solid all-around player on that line, all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is okay. We have a solution here. Right. If Shamar Stewart can stay healthy and has a full off-season learning edge, you know, we've got not a Trey replacement, but we've got a capable guy off the edge that can disrupt. And then maybe you sprinkle in some interior defensive linemen in free agency in the draft. So it is about this year. It is about your new guys that you bring in, but it also has to be some of these former high picks that, you know, that's what you saw from DJ Turner last year, right? That if you can, it doesn't have to be on that expedited scale like it was necessarily for some of these guys, but if you can get a handful of those guys that were high picks, particularly on the defense, you know, maybe those linebackers take another couple of steps forward.
Right. Which that's what I think they're counting on that, to be honest. That kind of scares me to be honest. But I want to get your thoughts on Al Golden and the job he did this year. And I think he was asked to work miracles, to be honest, to get these guys that haven't been productive in the last couple of years, meaning Miles Murphy, Joseph Osai, DJ Turner, Battle, these guys who we thought they drafted to replace guys to be impact players really haven't. Lou didn't play them. Al did. And I didn't think right off the bat they were going to go, bam, all of a sudden they're going to be great players. I mean, you knew it was going to be a struggle. That's where I go back to they should have done more in the offseason last year. But I think Al Golden did what he was supposed to do. What they hired him to do is to get these young guys up to speed, get them playing, and find out what you got. So, I mean, I think Al Golden actually did a pretty good job for what he was given.
Yeah, there are a couple of thoughts that I have on that. When you said, let's see what these young guys got, that you saw obviously the linebackers playing early and often, but some of these other guys, they didn't really get ample opportunity until Trey went down with an injury. The team was out of the playoffs. And so then it was kind of, how much do you take stock in that? The hope, as we know, the hope and the belief from the Bengals was that Al Golden was the fix-all for the defense this offseason.
Right.
I almost feel bad for the guy because I don't think he was set up. I think there was a setup for a good amount of failure. I think the hope and the belief was he would be successful. I think the way it was set up
pretty good for
between young guys, between Trey getting hurt, and that whole contract thing that bled into the offseason, all of that, and this, wholesale belief of this is the savior of the defense.
Right.
And they invested picks into it, but I don't think he was set up well to be successful like they believed he could in that first year. Does that mean he'll be successful next year? I don't know. It depends again on a lot of the things we talked about to the keys to the season about the defense. I think he's a good coordinator. He has proven it, but it's about maximizing what you have and maximizing those picks that you bring in and getting the most you can out of them. So I almost, as frustrating as it was, and a lot of frustration was his way and Zach's way about the defense, I almost also simultaneously felt a little bad for him because it was like, man, it was all placed at his feet to fix this thing. And it's like, wow, in one offseason with a slew of new defensive assistant coaches, and playing rookies, playing young guys, you're supposed to all of a sudden be, a decent or top 10, top 12 unit. I just didn't think that was realistic.
No, that was a big ask. I mean, I love what Rizzo said here. By the way, he's been watching you for 2 hours now. He was commenting on your show. So I appreciate you jumping over to my show. But yeah, he said, and I say this all the time: if you have no talent, what can you do? And that's where I always fight back on people like, well, Al Golden did this, Zach Taylor did this. Well, I'm like, did you see the defense? I mean, it's the same defense that Lou had last year. Just take out Von Bell and we'll take out Trey Hendrickson from this year because he didn't play. I mean, the guys that I was pulling my hair
Logan
out,
Wilson.
And Logan Wilson, yeah. The guys I was pulling my hair out about 2 years ago, trying to find out what the hell we got with them because Lou wouldn't play them. Al found out. I mean, whether you like it or not, I mean, DJ Turner, he wasn't even the starter at the beginning of the year. Josh Newton was a starter. So, I mean, DJ Turner, and he was getting cooked. DJ Turner was getting cooked in training camp. I remember watching this. I went, ugh, he doesn't look good at all. And he turn on a light switch and it all clicked for him. So, I mean, it can change like that. And a guy like things, Miles Murphy could take that jump next year. He could get back. It all could click for Shamar Stewart. I hope it does. But that doesn't mean you put all your eggs in that basket. That was my I said that at the beginning of the season. I was like, they put all their eggs in the Al Golden basket and really didn't give me any choice. You got to make this work or our defense is going to suck. Our defense pretty much sucked because that was a big ask. And that's where it's like, again, I go back to why do I think they're going to fix this? They don't have a choice because they did it this way. It's so blatantly obvious that it didn't work, and you thought you were going to get Joe Flacco and that would fix it. Hell, Joe Burrow came back, and we lost the game in Buffalo we shouldn't have lost. And you had a chance with your defense to stop a 3rd and 13, and you couldn't because of your defense. Now Joe Burrow threw 2 receptions, but you can't rely on your defense to make stops. You can't rely on your defense to really do anything. You can't have a championship team. You got to have a whole team, offense, defense, special teams, all of it. You got to be accountable in every situation, and the Bengals weren't. And that's where I'm like, everybody says they're stubborn, which, yes, they are, but it's like I just keep logically looking at it. You can't be this stubborn. You've got to see what you messed up on, and it's obvious it didn't work. You got to add to this, and you can't fix it in the draft. You tried to fix it in the draft last year. Yeah, the guys you drafted did okay, except for Shamar Stewart. We don't know, but they did okay. But they weren't game changers. They weren't rookies. They weren't all pros. They didn't. You gotta have talent. I mean, that's why I just keep going.
That's where I think the crossroads that after this year comes with Al Golden, though, is something you touched on, which was not coming up with a clutch stop in at least some of these games. The Bears game, the Jets game, the Browns game at the end. They played well defensively throughout most of that game, and then all of a sudden they let Shadur Sanders and company go down and kick a field goal to win it at the last minute.
Evan can't kick a damn extra point for save his life that game for some reason.
yeah. But that's kind of where it's like, okay, you have to be able to get at least the occasional stop. Can the Bengals this year, even if they're not a perfect unit again, who's going to come up clutch? Who's going to get that stop towards the end? Who's going to get that? It doesn't even, not even so much even at the end of the game, but who's going to come up with a stop before halftime, get the ball back, and do that old school thing that the Bengals were so good at in 21 and 22, which is get points going into halftime, get points coming right out of halftime.
Yep.
And that takes a stop right before halftime, or if you're not getting the ball at halftime, it takes that initial stop coming out and getting points there. So that's what lose early units did well. And it faltered towards the end there, and it was pretty much non-existent this last year, particularly at the end of games for Al Golden. So to me, that's the big crossroads, is can you get those timely stops this year, even if it's still an imperfect unit.
And one thing I found out today, 4 years ago today, that Ed McPherson kicked us to the Super Bowl, and you talking about getting that stop going into the first half or halftime. Eli Apple stopping stopping Hill before he goes into the touchdown. I still remember going, oh man, they're going to score right before half. And then all of a sudden, Eli Apple, who was a free agent, that he wasn't a guy they had to sign. He was a guy that they signed him late, if you remember, in that season. He came in late. He was kind of like a thrower, like, all right, we'll take him.
Oh, you're talking about the tackle on fourth down. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That stopped him going into the half, in the AFC Championship game.
That one. And then week prior, didn't he have a pick on Tannehill that was huge also late in that one too?
I know Logan did. Maybe I know because Logan Wilson had one. I remember now because Bell or Bates tipped it up and Logan intercepted. Did Eli have one? He might have. I just remember the Logan Wilson one. I do remember that one. But that's the thing. It's like, that's what we're talking about. You got to have guys. You got to have guys accountable. Like, pick up, which I'm not saying go pick up Eli Apple. I'm just saying these are guys that they picked up.
But it's squeezing. It's getting, like you said, and it almost goes back to the Bengals, 2009 through 2011. Those retread guys that you try and squeeze the last bit of ounces of talent out of them. That former high picks, or they played well for a while and they're at the end of the career. I mean, you could go down the list from 09 through 11, Tank Johnson, Adam Jones, Larry Johnson, like all those guys, they squeezed the last bit out of. Right. And that to me it was what Eli Apple was, right? I mean, it was just squeezing that last bit.
And he wasn't supposed to start. Yeah, he wasn't supposed to start.
because of Trey Waynes. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Trey Waynes. He was supposed to be a starter. And I mean, thank God we had Eli Apple, because who knows what would have happened. It could have been totally different. So I don't know. I just keep going. It's sad that 4 years it was the greatest kick I ever saw in my life. I was so freaking happy. I had tears of joy. Going down to the banks to celebrate with everybody was awesome. Something I will never forget. Damn, AC, I want to do it again. I want to win the freaking Super Bowl. So hopefully the Bengals will fix this thing here in the offseason. But
yeah, I was wrong. I don't think he had a pick.
I think it was Logan. I remember. I was at the game. I remember Logan.
See, I thought he did, but yeah. There
you go.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, I think we're going to get the heck out of here on this Who Dey Fun Football Friday. I always love these shows. AC, with your guns out and your internet freezing up on you, can you plug some stuff before I get you out of here, or are you frozen? I think he's frozen. Oh. Nice smiling. I see. Oh, there.
Am I good? Am I good?
He's back. Back again. Casey's back.
You think I was going through the ice storm with the
Exactly.
with the internet stuff.
I like you had the little eye thing. You had your little model look like, hey, how you doing? I'm AC.
Was I Zoolandering it?
Yes, you were.
Yeah, anyway. No, just Cincy Jungle. We had a fun interview early this week with T. Higgins and Chase Brown. So go check that out. That's on YouTube and stuff. Cool opportunity to talk to both of them. So a lot of fun, Cincy Jungle, and appreciate you, man. You're the best.
AC, it's always fun, dude. And by the way, get some like tan on your arms. I mean, it's.
I know. I've got a little bit of a farmer tan going here.
You got there and get your chair.
I'm like examining. Okay, where are the imperfections? What
Exactly. AC, love you, brother. Who Dey?
You're the man. Take care, bud.
See ya. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Check out the Brain Sheeran and AC on Orange Black Insider Podcast. Greg Luther is calling me right now, and I'm on the show. I can't answer. Jeez, Greg. But thanks for watching. It's been an absolute blast. We do this each and every Friday. Hopefully next week, Dale Altman will be able to join us, and he'll be freezing in his garage.
All right, shout out to my sponsors. They are Priority Lawn and Landscaping for all your lawn and landscaping needs. You need your grass cut, you need shrubbery trimmed, I don't know, you need a paper patio, you need anything. I mean anything. Landscaping requires. Think Priority Lawn and Landscaping. Also, shout out to T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out the website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And of course, Meyer Window, Door, and more. I got it in my house. I highly recommend you get them in yours. They're energy efficient, great looking windows, easy to clean. Meyer Window, Door, and more. The website is MeyerCincinnati.com. And also shout out to my favorite brewery, Moorline Lager House. Get on down there, get you some delicious Moorline beer, some delicious Moorline food. And tell them I sent you. Moorline Lager House.
As always, thanks for watching, guys. I've been live sharing on YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitch, Instagram. Hello, Instagram. You can follow me on all those along with Threads and TikTok. Check out my Substack. It's on there. I got a couple articles this week. I might write something about Trey and this crazy trade I thought about. I don't know. It's all Zim's fault. But I mean, he's right. I would tag and trade Trey so you can control where he goes. That's what I would do. But do me a favor. If you can't watch the show for almost an hour here, you want to listen to it, check it out. It's on the podcast. It's on BeanPod, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Do me a favor. Listen to it, rate it, like it, review it. Leave a 5-star review so more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast. You guys have a wonderful day. Me and Bengals captain will be back Monday. Who knows? Maybe I'll get Corey Dillon on the show here. He's been off for a while. Maybe he'll want to come on and we'll talk some football, some California stuff. Who knows? Who knows what we talk about when Corey and Cap are on the show. But remember one thing as always: Who Dey for life. And everybody throw it up. That's just sports, baby. See ya!
Another great show. You guys still here? The show's over. You can come back tomorrow. I'm out of here. See ya.